Hi, it's Corrine, and today I'm making a do-it-yourself wedding invitation. Here's what the card will look like. This could also be a happy anniversary card or congratulations. I'm using a silver piece of metallic paper. I got it from the open stock at Michael's quite a while ago, but you would just want to use whatever paper your colors are for your wedding. And I'm cutting this to a standard 8.5 by 5.5, where I'm scoring it at 4.25 so it'll be a standard A2 size card at 5.5 by 4.25. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm using Georgia Pacific cardstock. It's 110 pound. I got this from Walmart, and it's my favorite cardstock to use. It's a smooth, heavyweight cardstock. And I'm cutting out 3 different mats. The mat size is 5.25 by 4, and again, I need 3 of them. I'll go over the sizes a little bit later as well. So there's my third mat. Then I'm cutting another piece of that same base paper, and that is 5 by 3 3/4. That'll mat on one of the white mats. Then I'm using a scrap piece of paper, I need a 4 3/4 by 3.5 mat. And then I need one more piece of white that is 3.5 by 2.5. And now I need some strips that I will be adding onto that small piece that I just cut. And now these strips are 1/8 inch. I'm just using this from a scratch piece of paper. I believe that's a 5-inch piece of paper. And again, I'm cutting several strips at 1/8 inch. I'm not counting, I'm just eyeballing it. I'll be adding this to the small mat, as you may have seen in the card at the beginning. So I'm just cutting as many as it seems like I'll need, which I ended up needing 2 more than what I have here. So a little bit later, I went back and cut a couple more. I'm going to set everything aside so I can glue those onto that small mat. I'm using a nonstick craft mat and my Scotch Quick dry adhesive. I find using a wet glue is easy, but you can use whatever you'd like. You just want it clear. If you're using wet, you want it to dry clear. And now I'm just adding these on diagonally. I wasn't measuring, I just eyeballed it, but I believe they're about 1/4 inch apart. Again, I'm adding them to the mat that is 3.5 by 2.5, the smallest mat that we cut. Once I've got all those glued on, I'm going to wipe up my surface with a baby wipe and then dry it with a paper towel just to make sure I don't get glue on the front of it. And now I'll take my nonstick scissors and cut off all those edges so it's flush with my mat. I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like. It's really pretty with the diagonal white on white. I think it's very elegant looking. You could leave it just like this if you'd like. I went ahead and added some more stripes the opposite direction. So as you can see there, I think it's so pretty like that. I'm going to do the exact same thing going the opposite direction, and then I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like as well. Again, I'm leaving them about 1/4 inch apart, just eyeballing it. Here's where I realized I need a couple more strips. The nonstick mat that I'm using is from the kitchen department at Walmart. It's a huge mat that I cut down so it fit a little bit better on my work surface. And it's similar to the Ranger nonstick craft mat. It cleans up very easily. So here I'll add my last piece on, and again, after I clean up, I will cut around the edges of that. You can use a craft knife if you'd prefer, but I found it easy with my scissors. There you can see a close-up of what it looks like. Again, I think the white on white is so pretty. It's very subtle. Now here's what you need: a base card of 5.5 by 4.25, 3 white mats at 5.25 by 4, 1 white mat at 4.75 by 3.5, another white at 3.5 by 2.5, and a colored piece of the same as your base card stock at 5 by 3 3/4. So now I'm just going to adhere one of the 5.25 by 4 mats on it. And then I'm going to adhere my colored mat on top of that. And now I'm going to hold off adhering the next piece because I want to do my stamping before I do that. So I'm going to use a stamp set by the Paper Studio, and I got this from Hobby Lobby. It's called Everyday Expressions. I'm using the You're Invited out of it. Again, it would make a great anniversary, happy anniversary, or congratulations card. I've never used these particular sentiments, so I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black and stamp them a few times. Once I've done that, I will use my T-square ruler and put a couple of lines that will help me a guide to where I can follow to help get my sentiments straight. And then I'll erase those at the end. I'm using a little mouse pad underneath to get a good impression. And now I will use my baby wipes to clean the stamps off. I'm going to adhere that piece at the bottom using double-sided sticky tape. And this is a little bit stronger adhesive. The kind I'm using is Miracle tape, which I got from Viva Las Vegas stamps. So I'll just put that to the bottom of the mat. And then again, add double-sided tape to the back of this and add that to my card. What I do here is I'm just going to remove the backing from the very top of that mat. That way I can set it on top and slide it around to get it exactly where I want. Once I know it's in place, now I'll go back and remove the other 3 strips. And that way I can ensure that it went on perfectly straight. Here's some glitter tape from American Crafts. It's the 3/8 inch glitter tape in silver. So I'm going to add that right to the edge where that small mat meets the larger mat. And now I'm going to be using some flatback pearls. And here I'm trying to show you, it's not real clear, but it shows that it's a 19 millimeter button. And I got this in the sewing department at Walmart. You can order these rhinestone buckles pretty much anywhere online. And I'm just adding a rhinestone that I had in my stash to the middle of that. I'm using some hot glue here to add the pearls. You want to be careful with that so you don't burn yourself. And what I'm doing is adding the pearls to one side and then adhering the buckle and then adding a couple more pearls to make it look like it went underneath the buckle. However, if I did actually put it under the buckle, there would be way too much bulk there. So I'm just going to cut the edges off, add my rhinestone with some hot glue. And then I will erase my pencil lines. You want to make sure that it's completely dry before you do that. Now I'm adding some mats on the inside. These are just ones that I printed off, and I have some pictures to show how I did that. These are the mats that I originally cut out, the two of them that I cut out at the beginning, and they're 5¼ by 4. And what I did is I printed out this monogram and the information on copy paper right here. Then I went back with those mats and held it up to my light and put some tape that I had first adhered to my jeans so it got rid of some of the stickiness. I taped them back down, reran them back through my printer, and you'll be able to see that here in a second. I removed the tape and they were printed exactly where I wanted them. You could also print them, take them to a company and have this printed out and cut down to mats to match this, which are 5¼ by 4. So if you have any questions, just please leave me a comment. Otherwise, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for watching.